Now, a video has gone viral on social media by well-known businessman, entrepreneur Vusi Thembekwayo. The clip was originally filmed live on Facebook, and it shows the businessman entering his workplace, which is completely deserted because of the lockdown. Then, an emotional rant. Thembekwayo blames government for the country's current economic state, directing his anger towards politicians, swearing at them for the role he believes they have played. Then, the video was reposted by the former mayor of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, and it has been doing the rounds since yesterday. In just a moment, Vusi Thembekwayo is going to join us, but I just want to bring in reporter Michael Marilia, who's looking at exactly this issue this afternoon: the psychology, the frustration, the impact of the lockdown on people.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. Several studies have actually come to the fore with this pandemic at the moment, and those studies referencing previous periods where a lot of people have been under stress. And it seems there is no doubt that people who experience toxic stress during a lockdown and during a pandemic goes up. The percentage of those people actually does go up. Certainly a Belgian study has proved that, and we've also seen several studies exploring the impact on families. Their pressure, their anxiety levels have rocketed, and those studies really indicating that we are in for a tough time after this pandemic is actually over. Experts saying it'll take months before we've actually dealt with it up here.
You've got some interesting data. We'll get to you a little later on, but at this point, Vusi Thembekwayo, good afternoon to you and welcome. I've looked at the video. It's a rant. It's full of expletives. What drove this? Are you at the end of your tether here?
I think, like most South Africans, I am at the end of my tether. Just for clarity, that office is not mine. It's not our business. But it's a company that shared an office block with us, and they occupied the entire third floor. And they had over 200 people in that third floor. They've retrenched not only those 200, Jeremy, but around 500 the country over. And it is off the back, clearly, of COVID, but even more importantly, actually off the back of what has been economic mismanagement over the past 26 years in South Africa, and more acutely over the past 2 years of what's been a real recession in the real economy.
You put the blame squarely on politicians. Is that really fair, though?
Yes, because at the end of the day, they're the elected officials. They have the mandate from citizens to act in the best interest of the country. And if you're going to take a job, and will take with that job the perks and salaries and travel and all of those things, then you bear the full responsibility of the outcomes of what that means. Now, in my environment, I run an investment firm, Jeremy. If I don't generate the IRRs that our investors are looking for, they're not going to turn around and say to me, the market was bad. They hold me accountable as the CEO. And I think in the same vein, we need to really start holding politicians accountable for the state of the country. It's 26 years in. If there is any legacy of apartheid that is still living with us today, the politicians who are in power must be held squarely accountable because they've had a quarter of a century to fix it. We can't run around this issue any farther. And I really don't want to hear any excuses about apartheid. It's real, it happened, it persists today only because politicians have allowed it the breathing space to fester in our lives.
Just playing devil's advocate, surely no one could have predicted this black swan event, COVID-19, which has led to empty offices such as the one that we've just seen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's no issue there. But I think what most people don't understand is COVID-19 wasn't the cause of death for businesses. COVID-19 was the coffin that businesses were buried in. The cause of death was a poorly led economy, bad economic policy, poorly implemented economic policy, very poor leadership, and most importantly, funding agencies who have been completely lethargic in terms of their response to small businesses out there looking for help, as well as a banking sector that's been so risk-averse that you'd think it operates in Switzerland and not in South Africa. Those have been the causes of death. Coronavirus simply was the coffin that buried many businesses.
All right, let me ask you this then. It's always easy being in opposition, whether it be in business, whether it be in politics. You can sit from the sidelines, you can scream and shout, you can rant. What would you be doing differently right now?
So I published a paper, myself and Isaiah Mhlanga, who's the chief economist at Alexander Forbes, and I would encourage your viewers to go and watch it, talking about what we believe was the upside of junk status. At the time, we argued, and continue to now, that there is huge potential for what South Africa can do. But I'll answer you very quickly. I'm going to give you 3 points. The first, re-industrialize South Africa's manufacturing capacity, particularly around townships. Every single township in South Africa has an industrial area around it. Most of them have been abandoned because we've completely outsourced our production capacity to the east. We need to re-industrialize. We're importing toothpicks. Toothpicks. There's no excuse for that. The second is we need to hold the banking sector to account, because South Africa's monetary flow system and monetary supply is such that capital that's made available has to go through the banking system. So if you have a risk-averse banking system, that's going to impact the real economy. The third is quite simply get the best people for the best jobs in all the institutions. These are not radical ideas. These are very simple things that need to be done. They're not being done because we simply lack the political will to see them through.
Just quickly, I am reading that the Transport Minister, Fikile Mbalula, has responded to your expletive-laden video. He says you raised some interesting points and that in time he is prepared to meet you. I presume that you would welcome such a meeting.
Absolutely. But I just want to be clear with somebody, and I saw a hashtag today going around saying Vusi for president. South Africans have to get over the idea that there is a Messiah. There's no Messiah. Nobody's going to save us. We all together have to work together. I'm happy to be a part of the solution, but I am not the solution. All I did was I walked into an office and I showed people the impact of all of this. By the way, it's not just been the transport minister. I've received numerous phone calls from people in high office saying, we hear you, we're happy to chat. But at the end of the day, the chat isn't the solution. The work must be done. And I'm calling for the work to be done.
And we are going to leave it there. Vusi Thembekwayo, thank you very much indeed.